You've been lied to. Earth has no real forests. Those high mountains might just be giant ancient tree stumps. Imagine this. The Himalayas could just be the cross-section of a 60-kilometer-wide super stump. Mind-blowing fact. Acoustic probes of global mountains reveal internal concentric structures, just like tree rings. Experts blame magma, but why do these tree ring structures appear at altitudes over 4,000 meters? Did 1,000-meter tall trees once exist? Why does Africa's outline from space look like a fallen giant tree? A Swiss researcher even found fossilized plant traces in granite using an electron microscope. If true, climbing mountains like Mount Tai is actually just climbing the folds of ancient tree bark. Are we living in a graveyard? What happened to these ancient giant trees? Earth's tallest trees existed during the Carboniferous period, 300 million years ago. Oxygen levels were at 35%, compared to 21% today. Where did the extra oxygen come from? Photosynthesis. And the vast majority of this came from trees. To reach such oxygen levels, either the world was entirely covered in trees, or they grew like the Tower of Babel. 90% of Earth's coal comes from the Carboniferous period. We've burned it for 200 years and still haven't run out. Trees back then were mountain-sized supergiants. One equaled 10,000 of our trees today. Devil's Tower and the Tepuy Plateau might just be their stumps. Let's look at the evidence. Search for Devil's Tower in Wyoming, USA. It's mind-blowing. It looks like a massive stump bursting from the earth. At 264 meters, it's twice as tall as the tallest living tree. The tallest living tree, Hyperion, is 115 meters. Despite growing for 1,000 years, it's not even a third of Devil's Tower's height. If Devil's Tower is a stump, physical laws of tree growth suggest its original height was at least 6,000 meters. Over 6,000 meters taller than most mountains. But that's not the scariest part. Up close, its vertical grooves perfectly match the texture of tree bark. Even the cross-section looks like a sawed-off trunk. Geologists claim it's cooled magma, but to this day, no geologist can explain Devil's Tower's formation with 100% certainty. Isn't it strange that a rock studied thousands of times still has no definitive explanation? Eerily, the indigenous Lakota people call this tower the Bear's Lodge. Legend says the earth shook, and a mound grew into the clouds. A giant bear scratched its walls, leaving those deep marks. Notice their words. It didn't accumulate or erupt, it grew. Coincidentally, a 19th century Yale geologist wrote in his notes, "The rock cross-section looks like wood." Two people, centuries apart, described the same landscape with the exact same feeling. These rocks seem alive. There's more. At the Venezuela-Brazil border, there's Mount Roraima. From the air, it looks like a flat stone table with vertical walls and a 2,700-meter drop. NASA satellite data shows its shape almost perfectly matches the cross-section of a normal tree stump. Scientists say it's eroded sandstone, but how could random weathering carve a mountain into a perfect cylinder? And there's a whole cluster of them. Nature can't randomly sculpt identical stumps, unless they were stumps to begin with. Back to Devil's Tower. Its base extends outward into 7 radiating dikes, up to 3 kilometers long. Geologists call them cooling fissures, but magma is liquid. It erupts up or flows flat. Yet, Devil's Tower's dikes extend downward like a root system. Does granite grow roots like a radish? This anomaly is recorded, but no scientist has officially proposed an alternative hypothesis. Why? Because questioning this means admitting Devil's Tower might be something living, not magma. This cross-discipline idea gets no funding or papers, so it remains a 100-year-old secret in field notes. Interestingly, the memory of towering giant trees is embedded in the collective subconscious of all humanity. Chinese myth has Jianmu, a ladder to the sky. Norse myth has Yggdrasil, piercing the universe. Our ancestors saw these giant remains weathering into stone. Lacking science, they turned memories into myth. Why call a mountain a divine tree? Because up close, it feels like a petrified dead tree, not a mountain. Think this is just on Earth? Look at these two photos from space. Mars has Olympus Mons, 21 kilometers high, 3 times taller than Earth's highest peak. Its slopes have spiraling patterns that look exactly like standard tree rings, not volcanic ash. On the Moon, raised domes show dark patches spreading from the center, identical to a cut tree stump. A coincidence? Or did giant trees once exist on these planets too? You might ask, what do scientists think? Honestly, mainstream geology rejects this ancient giant tree theory. The official answers are still magma and sandstone. Not a single official paper supports the tree theory. But why is a mystery supported by folklore, math, and atmospheric models completely ignored by researchers? Simple, it crosses disciplines. It blurs the lines between geology, biology, and astronomy. I don't need you to believe mountains are stumps, but scientific progress relies on asking the questions others ignore. Even if overthrown, the theory teaches us two things. First, the ancient high-oxygen world was unimaginably vast. Second, it brings attention back to ignored unsolved mysteries like Devil's Tower and Tepuis. If Devil's Tower is just a stump, the ancient 35% oxygen world was massive, terrifying, and magnificent. And you are currently living on its remains. Are there really no forests on Earth? Perhaps we haven't found a fraction of the answer yet. But one day, we will truly find those vanished spires and missing tree rings.